Hi, welcome back to the Octopus Ukulele Academy with me, Andy Eastwood. And today's question comes from Maria Sedgwick in Bonnie, Scotland. Maria says, "Hi Andy, I've been playing the ukulele for about a year. How much practice should I be doing and how can I keep my practice effective?" Good question, Maria. Stand by, here come my 7 top tips for effective practice. Practice with purpose. What do we mean by practice? You could play your instrument for 4 hours a day and never get any better, but that's not practice, that's just playing. More time doesn't necessarily mean more achievement. Practice is a problem-solving exercise. It's when you pick an element that needs to be improved, hone in on it, and keep working on it repeatedly until it gets better and easier. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't also play something you're familiar with and that you enjoy just for the sheer pleasure and fun of doing so. After all, you play the instrument because you enjoy it. But to make the best use of your time, perhaps you should play something familiar that you like at the beginning of your session, just as a warm-up to get the hands moving and to clear the mind of other things, and then get stuck into the nitty-gritty of your true practice. And that brings us to the next point. Structure your practice. Have a format in mind before you start. Work out how long you can afford to give your practice without it getting in the way of other things you need to do and without it getting boring or tiring. Have an agenda as to what you need to include. For instance, let's say you're working towards a concert, you have 3 songs to learn and an hour each day to practice. Well, you might start off saying, I'll give each song 20 minutes. Then you might find, hang on, that one's harder than the others, I'll give that one twice as long and adjust the plan. But do have a plan, otherwise things could get left out. Within each piece you play, you need to identify the sections that need the most attention, and if you have trouble doing that, record or video yourself playing. It's very informative. But whatever you do, don't waste time playing the bits you can already do. You must have focus. The brain can only focus on one thing at a time. Well, in fact, that's what the word focus means, concentrating the attention on one subject. But a lot of people forget this when practicing and try to multitask, which isn't very effective. For instance, let's say you're trying to learn a song and you don't know the words or the chords. Well, it would be a very good idea to learn one of these things first. For instance, learn the words until they can flow freely without thinking and then add the chords to it. Here's another example. Let's say with the right hand you're trying to learn a very complicated finger-picking pattern. Well, give the left hand something easy to do or leave it off altogether until the right hand's job becomes habitual, then add the left hand notes to it. You can only concentrate on one thing at once, and whatever else you're doing has to be by force of habit. And how do we make something habitual? By repetition. Repetition is the way we get habits to form. The more we repeat a movement, a technique, or a bit of music, the stronger the neural networks that are associated with it in the brain will become. And with enough repetition, we actually program the desired behaviour into the subconscious so you can automatically perform that behaviour while your conscious mind is busy thinking about something else. And the more aspects of your performance that are programmed into that autopilot part of the brain, the easier it gets. That's the very essence of what practice is all about. But be warned, if you repeat something that is wrong, it's just as easy to make a habit of that. So be very careful what you repeat. And what's the best way to do that? By breaking it down and slowing down. Just as nobody can run before they can walk, if you've got a tricky piece of music to learn, you'll never be able to play it fast until you can first play it slowly. Slow practice gives you time to think, to analyse, to correct and adjust what you're doing. So start slowly and gradually increase the speed as it gets easier. There's another essential technique that goes hand in hand with this, and that is breaking the music down into manageable sections. And sometimes, in a difficult case, that might be chunks of just 1 or 2 notes. But if you get the music into small enough chunks and at a tempo you can manage, you can then practice and habituate the correct version of what you're trying to play. Then you piece the chunks back together and increase the tempo. Here's an idea that I like to encourage. Going the extra mile. Whatever you're trying to learn, practice it in a way that makes it a little harder than what you're really trying to do. For instance, learn a piece until you can play it faster than you really need to, so that it will seem easier when you perform it at the correct tempo. Or if you've got a performance coming up and you know you're going to have the music in front of you, learn the piece from memory anyway, so that it'll feel like you've got extra help when showtime comes along. Now, there's no limit to the ways you can expand this principle, and it can make your practice sessions a bit more fun. And that's my final point. Keep it fun. Do be kind to yourself. Give yourself breaks and don't overdo it. Music should be enjoyable. The right amount of practice will vary from one person to another, but little and often is a good guideline. I'd suggest do as much as you enjoy. 15 minutes of inspired focus practice is more beneficial than an hour-long slog with no enthusiasm. Reward yourself at the end of the session by playing through something fun and be realistic in your goals. Nobody's perfect, but as long as you can see some improvement over time, you're doing just fine.